Before I begin the video, I just want to flag, as always, that I am not a qualified financial advisor and nothing I say should be considered as financial advice.
Hello, I'm the Jury Saver and welcome back to my channel. So it's been quite a while since I last posted a video and I actually just looked and it was 45 days, and that's the biggest break I think that I've had on this channel between videos. The reason for that was because in January and February I was spending a lot of time studying because I've been doing a master's degree. Unfortunately, that is all finished now. So I've got a lot more free time to be spending on hobbies like posting content on YouTube. So over the next week I'm going to be trying to post updates on what happened in February with my finances, and I thought I'd start today by going through my stocks and shares ISA update. So I invest in a global index fund within a stocks and shares ISA, and I'm charting my journey just to show my personal journey of how my investments are growing over time. So in January, I had a final balance of £10,803. In February, I bought £50 of investments. I really want to ramp this amount up. So in 2025 it was a bit hit and miss. I'll just go here with how much I was contributing each month, and then there was 3 months when I went on I was gearing up for going on holiday to Japan, so I was spending a lot of money on that travel. So I scaled back my investment amounts, but actually over over the year itself I contributed £620, but I really want to ramp that up going forward. But my priority needs to be on my emergency fund at the minute, which I'll come on to in a separate video. But for a start of this year, I'm trying to invest at least £50 per month. So I hit that goal in February. My income returns were 2p, and that was to do with, I think, interest that accrued on a small portion of cash in the account. In January it was £14.55, and that was because one of the funds I haven't invested in is a dividend paying fund, and that gets paid quarterly, and January was one of those months in the year where I received that payment, but February was not. The market gain was really good in February. So my investments went up in value by £330. Not to give a spoiler about the March figures, but it's a different story in March. But as I'll come on to when I talk through my charts, that fluctuation is something that I've come to expect with my investment journey over the long term. So the market gain, so this if I divide my 330 by the balance I have, the balance I had at the start, the percentage gain was 3%, and I didn't pay any fees on the platform this month. So my cumulative return, so the amount that my investments have went up in value since I started investing, was £3,512, and the end balance now is £11,183. So really good that I've managed to get past another £1,000. So I went from £10,000 to £11,000. I'll then just go through the summary figures. Given it's only 2 months so far from this year, you can probably do the sums in your head, but it's helpful just to see. So beginning balance, as I said, was £10,690 at the start of the year. £100 purchase so far, £15 in income, and then my investments have went up in value by £391 so far this year. So the gain is £10,690 as in terms of a percentage of the starting balance. £12 so far on fees, and I'll just have to make sure that's the last bit. So that's £3,512. So that's the end balance, £11,183, which is great. So, and actually what I might do, so I'm going to do a live amendment on the sheet, just to say. So there's a 4% withdrawal sort of rate that people commonly use in the sort of financial independence space, where, and I don't really don't quote us on this, but because it's part, I don't want to articulate it wrongly, but it's the idea that if you wanted to retire from your investments, if they were in a sort of, over the long term in the stock market, then you could withdraw 4% per year, and the studies that have been done on it mean that that's a safe withdrawal rate. So you could withdraw 4% of the investments a year for life and never run out of money. I think I've captured that correctly, but yeah, as I always say, I'm not a financial advisor. This is me just articulating what I've read. So 4% withdrawal. So I thought actually might be interesting to see what if I wanted to stop investing today and I have my £11,183 in my pot that's still invested in the stock market. What would 4% of that look like? So 4% of the 11,000 is £447. So, in theory, if I wanted to stop my investing, I could have that, withdraw that every year for life and never run out of money. Now, £447, what would that get me? Could I retire on £447 a year? No. But could it pay for me, I'm trying to think what could it pay a nice weekend away for the year, like once a year? Yes. Could it pay for I don't know, could you get, like, but my gym membership's £20 a month, so it's like, is it my gym membership plus my phone bill? Or could I if I was stopped in investing, could I have a free gym membership and free phone for life? Yeah, one to think about. So I've got, I'd be interested to know if anyone had any thoughts about how they sort of visualize their investments in terms of what I could get them, if you see what I mean. Apologies, I'm a bit waffly today. I've started to articulate. I'm a bit out of practice with doing these videos. So the overall figures. So this is interesting to do because for me, I'm interested in investing over the long term, and I think even though I'm a very small investor in terms of it's £100 if that a month, I've been investing for 6 years. That putting in low amounts, and it's building up my confidence in terms of understanding what the fluctuations in the stock market are. So because I've tracked every month what my gains and losses are, I've got this chart here which shows, like, as a percentage each month, how my investments have fluctuated in value. So you can see that when I started investing, I had some quite positive months, but then I think this is probably a COVID decline, like a pandemic decline. So at the start of the pandemic, it went, my investments went down. But you can see over the long term, there's a mix of positive months and negative months. And you can see there that we've got, I've been investing for 81 months. 62% of those months, my investments have been have increased in value, and 31 of those months, my investments have decreased in value. So I've contributed £7,671. And the value of my investments has increased by £3,512. So that's led to me having £11,183. And then the second chart here is just the value of my investments over time. So I started with 0 in April 19, and then it's gradually been increasing, and I'm at the £11,183 mark here. So I think that's probably the end of the update for today. I'm really trying to get a balance across my sort of finances, where I've got an emergency fund, I've got kind of a healthy investment balance, and also I'm continuing to pay down the mortgage. But I'll be interested to know how people's 2026 is going so far regarding investments. If you're someone who's watching and you've got a YouTube channel as well where you're charting your journey, then do let us know in the comments, because I'm always interested in watching other people's videos. And I'll see you on the next video.